with PMI Sydney for a really long time, PMI Australia together. He has a lot of, like, almost 20 years of experience working with Australian AT&T Telecom and other companies as well, and he's written a lot of books. And people who registered before know that we were supposed to have this event last week, but he got injured, he got a broken ACL, but he soldiered on and he's back here from Perth to here in a week. So that's great, because we thought this event's going to be cancelled, but just an extra round of applause for Arnab, because he just soldiered on and joined us for him.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me well? Yes. At the back? Audible? Oh, good. Nice. Well, today we're going to unravel a myth that is deeply ingrained in our professional psyche. The myth of being self-made. You see, we live in a culture that venerates individual achievements, applauds personal determinism, and extols the virtues of free will. But what if I told you that this cherished belief in our absolute autonomy is an illusion? What if, by embracing the reality of interdependence and understanding the true nature of free will, we could unlock new levels of success, collaboration, fulfillment in our projects and career? So today we'll embark on a journey to explore that self-made myth dilemma. Right, so before we begin, I want to set the context for tonight's discussion. So this talk is not going to be not really about project management or any professional endeavor. Although these topics are undeniably important, I've emphasized them in various events. But I somehow come to realize that we often overlook the root cause behind our problems. We are not here to find temporary fix or workarounds. What we are seeking is permanent solution. You all look confident, you all look good, well-dressed, good-looking. But how much reality do you have in that confidence? One fine day, someone will come and take that off from you. So this talk is basically centered toward understanding your true self and the day-to-day illusions that we face, be it the psychological self or free will. So I'll start with free will. We use this term free and will in our day-to-day communication. But how many of you really understand the true meaning of free will? We don't often use it in our day-to-day vocabulary, but you don't need to define or describe it. Just raise of hands should be fine, because I'm going to talk about it. No one really knows what free will is? Okay. I mean, feel free to raise your hands. I'm not going to ask you questions. Come on, I don't believe it. You all know what free will is. Okay, that's all right. Free will is the ability to make choices and decisions without being involved externally. It's like having the power to pick your own path or making your own decisions rather than being pushed around or predetermined by things like fate or other people's choices. For example, you think you chose to come to this event. You got up, you dressed up, you had multiple things to attend to, and you came to this event. How many of you think that you chose to come to this event, but you could have chosen otherwise? Again, raise your hands. It's a choice. It's going to be a tough discussion. I'm going to talk against it. So hold your seats, hold your position. We basically believe in free will. one way or the other. Every small or big decisions that we take entirely depends upon the freedom of will. Now, the problem is, why do we think we have free will? So let me answer the why first, and then let me slowly get into the subject. Why do we believe that we have the notion of free will? Because we feel that way. I'll get more into it, our feelings. But why do we feel that way? Are our feelings guided by some logical understanding of ourselves? Or have you read enough to come to this conclusion? Or you just know that free will exists? I think the last one is true. You just know free will is there, right? Because you see, free will is at the basis of a lot of our social pillars. For instance, our legal system, judiciary, operates on the basis of free will. The legal system assumes that you have some freedom to not to do the crime at the time you're doing it. So the criminals can at any moment stop doing what they're doing and can pull back from doing the harm. And punishments are given to you, or punishments are given to criminals for their conscious intention to do the harm. Free will. Another example can be our religious system. God gives us the superpower of free will. We all know that if we're going to do bad things, we're going to go to hell, but we still continue to do bad things. Free will. There are many economic and social theories associated to the fundamental basis of free will. So, of course, you all believe in free will, and it's not your fault. And I'll quickly come to the science of it. But before I do that, and before I establish my logic behind free will, I want to tell you at the end, we're going to discuss the benefits of it, right? Only a handful of people, a group of people can benefit from the understanding of free will, because that requires you to realize more than just knowledge. Before that, I want to run a small experiment, because now I have a crowd that believes in free will. I think it's a perfect example. You tell me, I can prove you right now whether free will exists or not, right? Let's see if I can do that. Think of a city, anywhere in the world. Everyone's got a city? Okay? Now, pick another city. It can't be the first one. And notice that experience. Did you see any evidence for free will? Okay, let me break this down. How many cities do we have in the world? Any idea? Rough idea? Roughly about 10,000 cities. 10,000 cities. I mean, obviously, I'm guessing you don't know all the city names, right? So let's set aside all the cities that we don't know and therefore could not have picked. Now, there are many cities whose names are quite well known to you, but which simply didn't occur to you today. For instance, perhaps Tokyo didn't occur to you. You absolutely know that Tokyo is a city, but for whatever reasons, your Tokyo circuits were not engaged. So hear this question. Were you free to choose that which did not occur to you to choose? Where is the freedom in that? You probably thought of several cities. Let's say you thought of New York, Paris, or Shanghai. Now you're trying to make a choice out of these few options. This is the sort of decision that motivates the idea of free will. But when you look closely, you would know that you are in no position to know why you picked what you picked. For example, you can cause people to like one person more than the other by simply giving them a hot beverage to hold as opposed to a cold one. And they never tell you the reason they were biased, as they were, because of the temperature of the cup in their hand. The results of the psychology experiments are evident that we are very poor judges of why we do what we do. There are gazillions of micro events happening around you every second. Talking about the brain, 5% conscious mind and 95% subconscious is established. Your 5% conscious mind tries to capture as much information as possible when you pay attention. But unfortunately, even your 5% conscious mind captures only a tiny fraction of the information. Although we continually notice changes in our thoughts, mood, perception, behavior, but we are utterly unaware of the neurophysiological events that produce them. So coming back to the experiment that we were running, let's say you know 100 city names. You cannot claim that you pictured 100 city names and within seconds you analyzed each one of them and picked from it. You don't have that many neurons in your brain to do that. Even if your brain were the size of the Milky Way galaxy, you will still fall short of neurons. But why do we feel that we are the author of our actions? Why do we feel that we are making these decisions? The catchword here is feel. Please pay attention. It's all about feeling. And that can be another illusion. Please hang tight. I will be done with psychology and science very soon, and we'll talk about how you can benefit from these, understanding these illusions. Dr. Benjamin Libet, great scientist, in the early 1980s, conducted experiments using EEG machine, showing that activity in the brain's motor cortex can be detected some 300 milliseconds before a person begins to move. For example, you raised your hand. A thought must have come to your mind, and that must have caused your hand to move. But that's what it seems. But Libet's experiment found something different. Libet's experiment found that activity in the subconscious mind, in the motor cortex, initiating the movement some 300 milliseconds before the person consciously rose their hand. So, to put it bluntly, you're making these decisions subconsciously. Or, to put it more bluntly, you're pre-configured to act like how you're acting. A more recent experiment done by new scientists using the fMRI machine has proven this experiment number of times with more accuracy. So we know for certain that the free will basically is an illusion. What do I mean by that? See, 300 milliseconds is very small time, right? This information transfer is happening between your prefrontal cortex and your motor cortex. It's this much distance. And this information transfer is so quick that you always believe you're consciously making the decisions. It's happening in the subconscious, but the information transfer happens so quickly that we always feel that we are making the decisions. It's not our fault. It's only with the progress of psychology and the science we can tell this. Instinctively, we will not be able to come to the conclusion about the illusionary nature of free will. Well, don't take my word for it. You can go back and do your research and your studies and try to see if you can. And a lot of people are uncomfortable with this idea because, as I explained in the beginning, that a lot of our social pillars are based on free will. Our judiciary system, our religious system, a lot of economic theories are based on it. How can we automatically change them overnight and establish a different culture altogether? We can't do that. I understand that we can't do that. But only a minuscule percentage of people realize this truth. Just because we can't do that, you don't need to be deluded. You can still understand and realize the true essence of yourself. And that gives a huge lot of benefit. You can, for the first time, throw away the masks that you're wearing. I'll quickly move to a few of the benefits. Fear of failure. I think this is the most common problem that we have. I used to have this problem every time, every day. And I guess, to be real, everyone have got this problem once or twice. And probably a few of us still have this problem. What if I fail? Right? I wrote a lot about it in the book as well, especially for the people under 25 will benefit from it. So luckily I've got a few people there who can read it. But it's also for everyone, not just 25. But yeah. So how to overcome the fear of failure?
Failing.
Sorry?
By failing.
By failing, yeah, absolutely. Only by experiment. I mean, I cannot tell you not to fail and you will just learn from it, right? I mean, you have to fail. That's a very interesting thing you said. You just killed my talk, actually. Now I have to think about something. It's very good. Yeah, by failing. By understanding the illusionary nature of free will, we can see that our decisions are influenced by factors beyond our control, such as genetics, upbringing, environmental circumstances, and so on. This simple realization can help alleviate the fear of failure, as it shifts the focus from personal shortcomings to external influences. For example, Thomas Edison viewed every failed attempt as a step closer to success, understanding that failure is a part of a larger process and not personal fault. Embracing this perspective can help negotiate with the depressions that we have today in the world. And it can also help encourage a growth mindset. I'll quickly discuss about a recent interview that I did with a candidate. He was a well-deserving, I would say, well-deserving candidate of your age, under the age of 25, I mean. He was very confident. He was simply killing it. He had good skills, communication skills are top-notch, and he knew what he was talking about. In the beginning, he also mentioned that because he failed, he came to this level of success. But then he went a little overboard, and he started sounding overconfident. I normally ask this question to the interviewees that talk about a challenge that you fixed in project management. So I want to hear you speaking about a challenge and then how you overcame. But that gives you a full picture about what they did and their skills, end to end. But I asked a different question. It's a very weird question, by the way. I asked, tell me a story about your failure. Tell me, you started, you failed, you kept failing, and the end result was total failure. I want to hear your end-to-end failure story. No one would ask you this question in an interview. Just because you went a little overboard and started showing a little overconfidence, and he fumbled. He could not tell me one story One failure story. Later on, he claimed that he never failed. And he contradicted himself. He started off saying failure brought him to this place. Right? That's it. You want to put this person in your team, he's going to spoil the team. So when you hire people, you don't just hire skill. We have robots doing the job. You hire the actual person. Right? Be very watchful about, just because I know psychology, I'm not saying it. It's very, recruiters are not getting trained in how to interview people. And the basics of psychology training are given to interviewers. So that was amazing. And that talks a lot about the fear of failure, how to overcome the fear of failure. I'll move to the next example, decision making. I was talking a lot about decision and free will. How do we know that we made the right decision is the big question, I guess. Isn't it? Everyone is tangled with this question. Do we know if our decisions are right or wrong every time? Are you confident? How to be confident, I'm not saying you will be confident every time, but how to understand that you're making the right decision, or at least going in the right direction. Can anyone tell me how many decisions a human being takes on an average, roughly, daily? And that includes small decisions, big decisions, micro decisions. Small decisions such as, what am I having for breakfast today? Or what dress am I wearing? Big decisions such as, what career path will I choose? And whom am I going to marry? And all that. Micro decisions such as, if I'm going to move to the left or right, if I'm going to be looking this side or that side, these are involuntary. Basically happening because of your reflexes. That contributes to 95% of the overall decisions you take. Any number? Any guess?
10,000.
No. So 10,000 was the number of cities. That went into your mind. That went into your mind. That's too much. That's too many. Yeah. Any other guesses? How many decisions we take? Sorry?
150.
Oh, that's too less.
6,000.
Yeah, that's 35,000. Far more than that.
What's the duration? Is that per hour, per day?
24 hours. In 24 hours. 24 hours, roughly a human being takes about 35,000 decisions. And that includes 99% of them includes your involuntary decisions that you're not conscious about. Consciously, we only take a handful of decisions. And another fact, our neural resources deplete as the day closes. So basically, if you want to take important decisions, you want to take it in the beginning of the day. Don't take your decisions at the end of the day, because by the time you reach evening, your neural efficiency must have dropped, right? So if you want to take a major decision, hold on till you get to the next morning, right?
As we say, sleep on it and
Exactly.
in the morning.
Exactly. So I want to correlate this to our fundamental principles of free will. Acknowledging the limits of free will helps us to understand that decision making is a product of available information and circumstances at a given time. Right? Instead of agonizing over past choices, you can begin to learn from it. For example, Steve Jobs made many decisions that were questionable at the time, but ultimately led to groundbreaking innovations. So by understanding the variety of decisions that we take, and by understanding that these decisions are all externally influenced, we can look at decisions more objectively and reap the benefits from it. I want to make a close here very quickly the final note, I want you all to focus on reality and move away from all the illusions that you face in your day-to-day life. I mean, we are not here to find temporary fixes. Don't get a certificate in project management. Don't just move on. Just pay attention deeply about these aspects. And it's going to benefit you, not just in your overall professional life, but also personal life. As I said in the beginning, we just dress good and look good. Target the core self. You will come to know what I'm talking about. So, sit down, close your eyes at least for 30 minutes every day, meditate, and look for what is looking. And here's the interesting fact. When you pay attention to yourself, the closer you get to finding yourself, you will find that there is nothing to be found. Free will and self are, in a sense, two sides of the same coin. Psychological self is a myth, and none of us are truly self-made. I mean, you cannot claim to stand outside the causal boundary of the universe and making decisions independently. You're very much inside the cause and effect of the system of universe. By recognizing the illusions of the free will, we can shift our focus from individualism to interconnectedness, fostering a more collaborative and supportive work environment. I want you all to pay attention to reality, move away from all illusions as soon as possible. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Arnab, for this insightful overview. We're going to start Q&A if anyone has any question.
Yeah, sure.
Hi, Arnab, this is Manas.
Hi, Manas.
So, you know, right, the subconscious mind always takes more decisions, right? So, can we say that the subconscious mind overrules the conscious mind?
Okay. I mean, the question, just to rephrase your question, you're asking, you're claiming that subconscious mind takes all the decision. So what's the role of conscious mind? Yeah. The conscious mind is very minuscule, right? It's just 5% of your overall mind. The conscious mind is only here to pick up information from reality. The conscious mind that you claim to be doing all the things, right? You think you're making all the decisions consciously. You're punishing a criminal because of his conscious intention to do the crime, right? You're claiming everything is happening because we are consciously doing it. In fact, what is happening is subconsciously. The role of a conscious mind, scientifically speaking, is to only pick up information, raw information from the real world. Right? It just feeds it to the subconscious mind. So it's just not most of the decision, Manas. It's, I'm being very blunt here, it's all the decisions been done by your subconscious mind. Now here's the catch. The decision that you will take as a different individual will be completely different from mine. Right? Let's say we both have similar circumstances and let's say upbringing, but even though we will still have different decision making. It can simply be because of your genetics. You have different genetics, right? You're not choosing your genes. You're not asking your red blood cells how to flow. You're not ordering your kidney how to function, right? And the information that you have in your conscious mind, these are flow of neurons. You have no control over them. You don't even know how they look. Yeah. This topic is very hard. I know it's not so convincing. It's not convincing for many people as well. But the benefits are huge, right? When you try to be in terms with the reality of the illusionary nature of self and free will, you basically see a different side of humanity, right? You know why we are good? We only pretend to be good. Just remove all the traffic signals and you'll see the chaos. Has anyone stopped in the traffic signal because they want to stop there? No, they're afraid of punishments. Remove the system and you will see the mess. Recognizing the illusionary nature of free will and self will take us to a day where we can still be autonomous, but working as a system automatically without any external agencies put. And that day is not so near, but if you know what I mean, you can still learn from this and be ahead of the curve. Thanks, Manas. Oh, you have another one?
Question I have. So it's about when we are asking about the cities. Right?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
When the question is about choosing the cities, like we are asking the cities, different cities. So can we say that the perception holds a role into that specific choosing factor? Like for example, I thought myself as a Tokyo, right? And then
oh, you did pick Tokyo, is it?
Tokyo city.
Oh, you did pick Tokyo?
I did.
Oh, okay.
And then I went to another part of the world.
Uh-huh.
I think about Kolkata. So this probably, is it driven by the perception? Because I know about Kolkata in some, I have few things in mind. And that's why it takes a precedence than the other cities. And the same for Tokyo, because I might have learned about, few weeks back we were discussing about Tokyo's, like a couple of foods and all other things. So I have a perception for that.
Yeah.
I build a perception. So does it take any role for?
Absolutely, absolutely. So you have stacked your mind with a certain limit of definitiveness, right? So you have a list of definitive answers to your mind. If I ask you what's your name, it's going to be definitely your name. You cannot answer anything different, right? You have stacked a lot of things definitively, right? Now, and let's say if I chose Shanghai over Paris, from my example, right? I can say that I ate Chinese food last night, and I remembered it, and I picked Shanghai. But we know from psychology that this kind of stories are rather often false. And I showed you how people can be manipulated by only giving them a hot beverage as opposed to a cold one, right? Your perception that are not definite can still be manipulated. But the ones that are definite, which is your name and your religion, where you belong from, these are all stacked in your mind, right?
So can we say now that the subconscious mind is taking the input from the perception? Because it makes it a decision factor from somewhere else, but it's not from somewhere else, it is from somewhere. It's maybe from some input or from a learning system. So that learning system could be here as a perception. So can we say that the subconscious mind always, as a major factor, contributing factor, is the perception?
Now, what is the definition of perception? We use a lot of words. What is perception? Perception is a definitive state of your mind. So you basically are looking at me right now. A lot of you are thinking, this is not making sense. Trust me, right? That's a perception, right? You just made the perception by just hearing me speaking. Can I change it? Yes, maybe, if you give me enough chance, right? This perception is kind of a little volatile. It keeps on changing because you keep interacting with various different people every day, and perception can take different routes, right? So if you're basing your question on if subconscious is taking information from perception, it's not going to be a direct answer to your question because perception changes all the time. Yeah.
Thank you.
I hope I answered.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Make sure you speak in the. Yeah.
Thank you, Anna. That's
you.
very, for me, I'm really interested in this topic and the transformation journey, because I tasted and I had some elements. Of course, it's a journey and work in progress, but it's very empowerment, and it's difficult to get there and to get to know like who you are as a person. Now, my question is about the journey of, you said like you always try like finding yourself, so discovering yourself. So will you get to the stage that you probably will find yourself and know the why you are here, or it's part of life stages in different ages and it's an infinity process?
Yeah, good question. So, can we really find ourselves in the journey of life? Can we really find ourselves? When you sit down quietly, when you pay attention to yourself, sit down quietly, because our mind has got millions of thoughts ongoing, right? It will still be ongoing. If you attain a balance through meditation, you can quiet yourself. But that doesn't mean the thoughts will go away. Your mind will always have the thoughts. It's just that you can look at those thoughts from a certain distance, right? You don't want to be part of the mess, right? You can attain that. And when you attain that, you would discover a fantastic thing. You will discover there is no center to experience. I'm not here. I'm not here. Right? I'm not the boundary of my skin. Right? Where is the center of my experience? Where would you point it? Right? Just because I'm speaking from here, you think this is what it is. No. There is no center. There is no focal point to experience. The moment you realize that, you will find the thing that you're actually searching for is nowhere to be found. When you deeply research on yourself, through meditation, of course, you would find there's nothing to be found, and that's a big realization, right? You will not have that feeling for a long time, right? It just stays with you for some time. Few people have mastered it, but it just stays with you for some time. It's a different, out-of-the-world feeling, right? And then it would be very easy to change your focal point everywhere you want. I am you right now. I can be that gentleman sitting there right now. I'm not here right now. What I'm saying, obviously, is scientific. It's not anything. So I'm a big science fan, right? And I've also showed you some experiments. It will only give you enough room to discover what's going on. This life is not about finding yourself. This life is about finding what is not there. And the best way to attain this state is to really spend time with yourself, doing the right meditation techniques. I can offer a few names to you. Don't believe the gurus and all that has no degree in psychology. Go for Sam Harris. He's got a waking up app. He's got all the science behind every technique he has offered. Right? If you look into waking up, right? It's a paid subscription. I think $150 a year. Right? You get to do meditation properly, and there will lie your solution. I can suggest a few more names like Daniel Dennett. Go for Daniel Dennett, go for Sam Harris. They are neuroscientists and they talk science. No jargons, no extra. Thank you.
Last question. Thanks a lot, Arnab.
Thank you, David.
It's always good to go deeper in all the self-discovery.
Yeah.
I've actually been a believer of there's no free will for a long time. I think cognitive biases are very interesting. I think everyone should explore. But my question is about empowerment. And you get to know a few people very interesting, like Elon Musk. I believe this is all simulated reality. This is your avatar. You just have to go for it. You can become a writer, a speaker, whatever you want. So my question for you is about the simulated reality and the empowerment that gets from understanding a bit more the fabric on these things when you go deeper.
Sure.
What it can give for you. Because I think a lot of people get uncomfortable when they talk about these and they don't understand what this can be doing.
Yep. So what David is referring to, please correct me if I'm wrong, the simulation theory. There's one aspect to it, simulation theory. Another one is actually to have your consciousness to be transferred into a simulation, right? A few scientists obviously claim this is possible, right? I also go with them because I believe in science. I don't believe in science, I know science. You can either know science or not know science. Believing is something different. So, what is a simulation? Let's say we all human being. There is a scale of measurement, the intelligence scale of measurement. We're at 0.7 at this point, and we can go up to 10. So we are 0.7 intelligence level species. At one point in the time in the future, we will attain a state when we will be able to control, is the right word, we will be able to control our star system, our nearby star system, and everything that is happening around us so accurately that we should be able to build a simulation, that's a gaming simulation, that can give us pixel-wise information about the reality. It's so real, it's going to be so real that you cannot tell the difference between reality and virtual machines, right? So, and you can also inject consciousness in it. This is just theory. You can also inject consciousness into it. So the person living inside the simulation will have no idea or will have no way to tell whether he or she is in simulation or not. And they can further build simulation inside it. So we can be in a loop of simulations. This theory is actually not so good because it again encounters the problem of loop. And the loop goes on. So we need a theory where we can show that something started and why it started. Anything that is loop is not a good theory. But simulation theory is good because it explains a lot of other things. I'm not sure if you are talking about that simulation, David?
Yeah, and it's the growth of the numbers of humanity, and it will make more sense to have a simulation as well. So it's a very deep topic, and
right.
Can be deeper. Yeah, there's code out there that proves that. And some people thrive on that. So.
And it's very likely, I can agree with you, it's very likely that we are part of one simulation as well. It's very likely, although not 100%, it's very likely. This topic is going total sci-fi at this moment. Yeah. But if you really wake up and see, this is all mysterious. I mean, why can't we have a mind like a child asking questions all the time? Right? You can do project management all your life. That's okay. But you can do it better if you know these things. Yeah. Thank you, David. Thank you.
Thank you so much. From finding out that we don't have free will to question for life, self-reflection. It escapes me what I was going to say. Meditation and now simulation. If you have any more questions for Arnab, use the next hour where we really invite you to continue to mingle. We have some food and drinks. Before we actually close, David has something to thank you, Arnab, for joining us tonight.
Is this with your free will doing that?
I had no choice to be. I had to be here tonight.
He is pre-designed to do that.
Thank you, Arnab.
Thank you very much.
Really enjoy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Big round of applause. Thanks for all the books and contributions to the chapter.
Thank you. I love
Flying
it.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.